Hey everyone. So a lot of people have been asking or wondering about what my setup is. You know, what amp do I use? You know, what's the story with the guitars? You know, what pedals do I use? So I guess this is going to kind of be the start of a little series on here about, you know, the gear that I use. You know, hopefully it answers some of your questions about some of the gear. So we'll start with this amp right here. So this is a Blackstar amp, and it's a Jared James Nichols signature model. So I'd heard of Blackstar a little bit before, but when I went to Jared's artist clinic quite a while ago, you know, he was doing this kind of, I guess you'd call it like a guitar store tour where he was promoting his signature amp and guitar. And it was great, you know, just kind of a guitar nerd fest, right? But I'll never forget, you know, when he plugged in and he cranked up the volume, it was just this huge, powerful, mid-range sound that I instantly got a kick out of. And that's the main reason why I love this amp so much. When you hit the mids, it just hits you right in the chest. It's just a really, really cool sound. So, a lot of people are asking about, like, you know, what are your amp settings and all that. And this is actually something that I learned a little while ago, because I was the same way too, just like everybody else. You know, I'd be trying to find out, you know, what are Slash's amp settings, you know, what you know, what's Angus's amp settings, and you know, and I think it kind of relates to you know, some of the other comments that people were saying too, like, you know, your tone's amazing, you know, that kind of thing. Play it by ear. Ironically, I know, right? But you really want to play it by ear. So like with this amp, you know, if you have all the EQs at noon, and we'll play in here in a minute, don't worry. The big thing is, you know, what do you hear when you plug it and play? So this is naturally just kind of a dark sounding amp. So I have the treble dimed pretty far up. I have the bass rolled back quite a bit, like more than a quarter way down. The trebles, like I said, turned up pretty high. And the mids, I love the mids on this amp because, you know, the more there is, it just hits you right in the chest. I love that sound and feel. And this is kind of a cool, unique Blackstar thing. Little infinite shape feature. And that's another reason why I love Blackstar too. It's because when you roll it to the right, you get kind of that British Marshall-y kind of sound. But then when you roll it to the left, you get kind of that cool, clean, Fender American amp sound. So to me, it's like the best of both worlds. You know, you have that British punch, but you have that American Fenderish kind of clarity. And I love that. It's just the perfect combo. It's the best of both worlds. You know, reverb, add as much as you want. Just a little splash there to kind of bring out the sound. Overdrive, you know, gain just kind of depends on the volume. Just kind of play it by ear. And it depends on, you know, what I'm playing to. You know, Metallica, you're going to want the gain cranked up quite a bit. But mostly it's, I don't know, probably 6 or 7. That's about right. Mostly 7 to 8 maybe. Then clean sound is really for me just when I roll the volume down. So enough of my blabbing. Let's actually hear this thing. So okay, so I have my Gibson SG right here, and on the amp I switched some stuff around. Everything's at noon, and I just have a little bit of reverb on. I don't know how well you can hear it. So hard to know how this will translate into a video, but let me tell you, in the room it sounds amazing. But anyway, everything's at noon. So here's what, you know, to think about when you're kind of trying out an amp for the first time too. Just kind of, you know, plug in and start messing around. Now, sounds pretty good, but it's kind of bassy. You know, there's a bit too much oomph to it. So right away, you know, kind of crank the bass down quite a bit. Alright, it's better, but needs a bit more oomph. And that's where those mids come in. So now it's really kind of, you know, in the room, it really kind of starts to hit you in the chest. It's that kind of cool feeling. And just crank the treble up a bit more. Let's just see. There, now it's got a bit of a kind of a shine to it. Now with the ISF, let's just mess around with it. Starts to get a bit muddy with the British kind of sound, so let's roll it back a little bit to the American kind of side. Let's try it right there. Sounds pretty good if you ask me. And you know, gain's at the perfect spot too. You know, just for fun, let's try and crank up the reverb a little bit. This is at halfway. That's quite a bit. That's for the like oh, what is it? That's your Pink Floyd Comfortably Numb kind of sound. Kind of get the reverb going. It sounds pretty good. And I mean, this is a 2 watt and 20 watt amp, and I mean, it's only on 2 watts right now, and it's pretty loud. So I guess that's kind of everything to talk about with this, with the amp. You know, there's dozens of other guitars you could plug in and try it. But like I said earlier, I think the most important thing to think of when you're kind of messing around with an amp, just kind of dial it in by ear. You know, what's your kind of optimal sound? If the amp sounds a bit dark, you know, maybe try and crank up the treble and turn down the bass. You know, just kind of play it by ear. What are you looking for? That's what's worked for me. So I guess it's kind of the best advice that I could give you. So yeah, I hope this was sort of helpful, and I hope it kind of answered some of your questions. And Jared, if you're watching this thing's awesome. I love this thing. Take care.